Welcome to iFire Story. This is your go-to spot for gripping tales of love, betrayal, and heartbreak. From true infidelity stories to cheating wife chronicles and Reddit's wildest family dramas, we dive deep into the raw emotions and twists that keep you hooked. Whether it's a lost love saga or a shocking cheating audio story, we've got it all. So, hit that subscribe button, grab some popcorn, and let's spark some stories that'll set your heart ablaze. Why not just fade away? My stepdaughter lost her composure during an argument. Her mother chimed in, insisting that we would be better off without you. Silently, I gathered my belongings and prepared to leave. This morning, my phone was inundated with 13 missed calls. A peculiar sensation washed over me as I stepped into our living room that Sunday morning. The silence in the house was striking, yet that was not the only thing that stood out. I scanned the room, searching for the source of the unease that lingered in the air. Suddenly, it dawned on me that every single one of our family photos had a distinct appearance. I moved nearer to the grand frame that hung above the fireplace, the one capturing our adventure in Yosemite from last summer. The image existed, yet I was absent. All traces of my image had been meticulously erased, resulting in uncomfortable voids in family memories that stretched over the past 3 years. I lingered, the coffee cup in my hand losing warmth, when I caught the gentle sound of Ava's door closing upstairs. At the top of the stairs, my stepdaughter's footsteps came to a halt, clearly indicating that she had realized I was awake. After a brief pause, she pressed on, phone in hand, intentionally avoiding eye contact as she made her way to the kitchen. "Good morning," I replied, maintaining an even tone. The ensuing silence was thick with purpose. 3 years. That's the span of my presence in Ava's life. 3 years dedicated to nurturing trust, filled with movie nights and assisting with math homework, all while striving to be supportive without overstepping boundaries. At the age of 17, she began to distance herself. I had anticipated the usual teenage defiance, yet this seemed distinct. It began last week when I volunteered to assist with her chemistry project. She had been grappling with the topic, and I realized that my thoughts on the matter were irrelevant. Her reply hit like a sudden blow. "Quit acting like you're concerned about my grades. You're not my actual father." I had encountered similar sentiments previously, yet there was an unfamiliar edge in her tone, precise and intentional. Lauren, my wife, occupied the kitchen, and though she must have heard, she chose to remain silent. The stillness seemed to imply a decision had been made. As the days passed, the atmosphere grew increasingly charged. Little details, plates abandoned in the sink, accompanied by sharp glances, doors slamming with a touch too much force, discussions that fell silent upon my arrival. Lauren became increasingly aloof, sidestepping my attempts to talk about the unfolding situation. "She's simply navigating her teenage years, Ethan. Refrain from centering the discussion on yourself." However, last night, everything erupted. Ava was engrossed in her phone during dinner, breaking our usual etiquette. As I softly nudged her memory, she flung her phone aside in frustration. "Why do you always feel the need to monitor my every action? Why can't you simply let me be?" "Ava," I began, "I'm simply attempting to—" "To what end? Act as a father? I already possess one." She rose, the chair grating against the floor. "Why not just fade away? No one requested that you put in so much effort. It's quite disappointing." I gazed at Lauren, anticipating I'm not sure what I was anticipating. Assistance? Conflict? Resolution? Instead, she placed her fork down and spoke softly. Perhaps it would be for the best if you did. The phrases lingered in the atmosphere, ethereal and elusive. Memories from the past 3 years surged vividly in my thoughts. The moment Ava chuckled at one of my dad jokes, the evening she reached out in tears after her first breakup, the beaming smile Lauren shared when Ava chose me, not her mom, to assist in selecting her prom dress. I rose gradually, my meal only partially consumed. Understood. I stated it plainly. What's going on? Ava issued a challenge, yet a glimmer of something danced in her eyes, perhaps uncertainty. If that's how you both feel, then that's understandable. I ascended the stairs to our bedroom and retrieved my worn duffel bag. I could hear the hushed voices drifting from downstairs, yet no one made their way up. While I gathered enough clothes for a few days, I realized my hands were steady. A sense of unusual tranquility washed over me. As I descended, it seemed Ava had vanished, likely retreating to her room. Lauren lingered in the kitchen doorway, her arms folded across her chest. Are you really just going to leave? Is that really your answer? You claimed you'd find more happiness, I responded, searching for my keys and wallet. I appreciate that. That's not. I didn't mean. She paused, a mix of pride and anger, or perhaps something else, preventing her from expressing whatever was on her mind. I grabbed my bag. I will be at Mason's place. I'll come up with a more lasting solution shortly. I halted at the threshold. Honestly, when Ava made those comments earlier, it stung. But listening to your agreement, that shattered something, Dell. I made my way to Mason's place, enveloped in quietude. He glanced my way and promptly prepared his guest room. No questions asked. That's the sort of companion he truly is. I switched off my phone and retrieved a sleeping pill from the emergency stash in my travel kit. This morning, I awoke to the gentle glow of sunlight filtering through curtains that felt foreign to me. As I finally powered on my phone, it erupted with a flurry of notifications. 13 missed calls, 8 from Lauren, 3 from Ava, and 2 from my sister, Emma. 27 text messages, 4 voicemails. I have yet to give them a listen. As I sit in Mason's guest room, observing the morning traffic below, my mind drifts to the vacant spots in our family photos. Perhaps they existed all along, and I simply chose to look away. Once more, my phone vibrates. Greetings, it's Ava. After all that has transpired, I catch myself gazing at her name on the screen, pondering what could possibly be so pressing at this moment. However, I feel unprepared. Not at this moment. At times, the most challenging aspect isn't the act of leaving. It's about understanding if you ought to retrace your steps. Update 1. I want to express my gratitude for all the encouraging comments on my previous post. I was taken aback by the sheer volume of responses. To clarify the frequently asked questions, yes, I've gone through the messages. No, I haven't responded to any of them yet. And yes, I'm still at Mason's. This morning unfolded much like the rest, with me feigning concentration on my tasks while my gaze drifted to my phone, contemplating whether to shatter the stillness. Then Mason made a shocking revelation over breakfast. Caleb is back in town, he remarked, pushing his phone across the table with a casual air. A photo of Ava's biological father appeared on Facebook, tagged at a local restaurant from 2 weeks prior. The very same Caleb who has neglected to pay child support for 3 years. The very same Caleb who overlooked Ava's last 4 birthdays. In an instant, the sequence of events revealed its clarity. I perused my messages once more. Lauren's messages had transformed from frustration, showcasing a truly grown-up Ethan who chose to flee rather than engage in conversation. To those who care, please just inform us that you are all right. To delve into something more intricate, her most recent read holds a crucial insight you should be aware of. It's regarding Ava. Kindly give me a call. Emma arrived just in time for lunch, coffee in hand, and wearing that determined expression she has when she's ready to dive into my affairs. "You look absolutely dreadful," she declared, sinking into Mason's couch. "Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you as well, sister." Her lips remained uncurled. "Yesterday, I happened to cross paths with Ava at the mall. That certainly caught my eye. How is she doing?" As she met Caleb for coffee, my presence went unnoticed. Emma observed my response intently. She gazed. Optimistic? Do you recognize that expression she wears? It's like when she's holding back her enthusiasm for something. I understood precisely what she was conveying. It's the identical expression Ava wore when she received her acceptance to that summer program last year, as if she feared that something truly wonderful could be unfolding. "Have you heard? He's been sending her messages for months now," Emma pressed on, vowing to set things straight this time. My stomach churned. I took a look at Ava's Instagram, an activity I seldom engage in. Her most recent post featured a picture of her and Caleb with the caption, "Real family time." The remarks overflowed with heart emojis from her companions, all of whom were unaware of the backstory involved. Mason, who had been quietly observing, finally interjected, recalling the events from when Ava was 13 and the last time he made an appearance. I recalled. Caleb had arrived with lofty assurances, lingered for a mere fortnight, and then vanished once more. Ava remained in bed for days following that. Lauren and I dedicated months to restoring her trust, assuring her that she was enough and that she deserved more. Just then, my phone buzzed with a message from Lauren. He's proposing that she move in with him, and she's genuinely thinking about it. "Ethan, I understand you're upset with me, but she really needs your support." I began crafting multiple replies, only to erase each one. What can I express? "Apologies for the confusion. You asked me to vanish, yet now it seems you require my presence again?" The entire scenario seemed like a heartless prank. Then arrived yet another notification, showcasing Ava's latest Instagram story. A collection of college brochures scattered across her bed, accompanied by the caption, "Significant change is on the horizon. At times, you must select your true journey." Those were the precise words Caleb used 3 years ago, just before he relocated across the country to pursue his true path and ceased responding to Ava's calls. Emma must have noticed something in my expression. "What thoughts are crossing your mind?" "I find myself reflecting on the day I wed Lauren," I remarked thoughtfully. Recall Ava's words during her speech about how family can unexpectedly come into your life when you least expect it. And now, she's sharing about her true family and her authentic journey, while Caleb takes on the role of Father of the Year. He has successfully swayed her opinion. I paused when my phone began to ring. Unrecognized caller. "Ethan, this is Ms. Harper calling from Maplewood High. I serve as the guidance counselor for Ava. I understand this may seem out of the ordinary, but I must discuss some troubling developments regarding Ava's academic plans and her recent behavior. Could you make it in tomorrow morning? I consented to the meeting, my thoughts swirling with anticipation. Ava had consistently achieved top grades since her freshman year, resolutely aiming for admission to a prestigious college. What might have been different? Once I ended the call, Emma and Mason turned their gazes toward me, anticipation written all over their faces. "What's the matter?" Emma urged. "It seems the moment has come to break the silence." I reached for my phone and finally accessed the voicemail from Ava. Her voice was faint, a stark contrast to her typical assurance. "I understand if you feel negatively towards me at this moment. I understand. I have something to share with you. Regarding the reasons behind my statements concerning Caleb, kindly return my call at your earliest convenience." Her voice carried a nostalgia that took me back to the days of a 13-year-old girl, eagerly checking the mailbox each day, yearning for a letter that was always absent. "I have an appointment with the guidance counselor scheduled for tomorrow at 9. Following that, I believe it's time for some candid discussions. Disappearing can often provide a clearer perspective, allowing you to observe things more distinctly from afar." The school's number remains displayed on my screen. Beside it lies a message from Caleb in our family group chat, of which I remain a member. "Exciting news awaits at dinner tomorrow night. I sense I have a clear idea of what that announcement will entail. I refuse to allow the past to echo in the present. Revision 2. I've dedicated the past hour to unraveling the best way to craft this update. The encounter with Ms. Harper unveiled unexpected revelations, leading to a series of unforeseen events that ensued. Allow me to commence from the very start. I reached Maplewood High ahead of schedule, observing students hurriedly making their way to first period. A handful of Ava's classmates caught sight of me, their fleeting looks and hushed conversations revealing that whispers of my absence had begun to spread. Mrs. Harper immediately got to work as soon as I took my seat. Ava submitted her paperwork yesterday to withdraw from the advanced placement classes, she remarked, pushing a form across her desk. She is also stepping away from French club and student council. When I inquired about the reason, she mentioned that she would be transferring to a different school next semester. My chest constricted. These were the programs Ava had tirelessly worked to gain admission to, the extracurriculars she had been counting on for her college applications. Ms. Harper went on to elaborate. Last week, she requested that I send her transcripts to 3 different schools, all located in Oregon. She hesitated, observing me intently. The very city where Caleb has recently acquired real estate. That's when everything began to align perfectly. I took out my phone and displayed Caleb's significant announcement message to her. Is he starting a new venture out there? She gave a slight nod. Ava brought up a startup, mentioning that her father is seeking family investors to launch it. The unsettling sensation resurfaced, reminiscent of the time 3 years prior when Caleb persuaded Lauren to lend him money for what he claimed was a guaranteed business opportunity. Funds that vanished without a trace. I departed from the school and made my way directly to our home. Lauren's car sat in the driveway, and through the window I caught sight of her pacing in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear. She caught sight of me and hurried to swing the door open before I had the chance to knock. He requested some financial assistance from her. She responded right away, her college fund. He has been captivating her imagination with grand promises about this tech startup, claiming that if she invests now, She will earn enough to cover the cost of any college she desires. Where could she be? A cup of coffee shared with Caleb. Once more, Lauren's voice trembled. I attempted to explain to her that it's a scam, but she claimed I was just envious of his newfound commitment. She mentioned that he at least has faith in her aspirations. I settled at the kitchen counter, the very place where everything unraveled just a week prior. Why didn't you inform me that he had returned? I attempted to manage it on my own, believing that if I kept them separated, she would disagree. Then you and Ava had that confrontation, and she uttered those words, and I felt a surge of anxiety and aligned myself with her, fearing that if I didn't, she would fully commit to him. Just as I was about to reply, the front door swung open. Ava entered, her breath catching as she laid eyes on me. She appeared transformed, her makeup meticulously applied, adorned in the lavish jacket that Caleb likely gifted her, yet her eyes betrayed a hint of sorrow, glistening red. What brings you here? She inquired. Yet the familiar sharpness was absent from her tone. Are you seriously considering dropping your AP classes? I maintained a soft tone. What transpired at UCLA? Adjustments are necessary. She spoke softly, avoiding my gaze. Father expresses? Caleb expresses. I made the corrections quietly. A fleeting expression crossed her features. He possesses a network beyond these confines. The startup is sure to. Was the classic car dealership assured? Or perhaps the mobile kitchen venture? I retrieved my laptop, unveiling the files I had diligently compiled throughout the morning. I conducted some research. Would you like to check the current business registration status of Caleb? Or perhaps his credit report? Or perhaps the 3 ongoing lawsuits stemming from his previous guaranteed investment venture? Ava's hands quivered as she grasped the laptop. With every click, every document, the meticulous facade began to fracture further. As she encountered the lawsuit from his former stepdaughter's grandmother, aiming to reclaim the college funds he had borrowed, the first tear slipped down her cheek. He spoke, and she took a deep breath. He claims he has transformed. He desires to compensate for the time that has slipped away. If only we could truly become a family. She halted, her gaze lifting to meet mine unexpectedly. The collection of photographs. He insisted that I needed to demonstrate my choice of him. It was you who caused him to keep his distance as you occupied the role he once held. Oh, darling. Lauren advanced in her direction, yet Ava retreated. She whispered, I knew. Somewhere within, I believe I had an inkling. Yet, I yearned deeply to have faith. Her phone vibrated, another message from Caleb. She gazed at it for an extended moment before shutting it down entirely. I must leave now, she stated suddenly, making her way to the stairs. I require some time for contemplation. We released her. At times, the greatest gift you can provide is simply the gift of distance. Time slipped away. Lauren and I engaged in a deep conversation, truly connecting for the first time in weeks, sharing our fears and mistakes, discussing Ava and Caleb, and reflecting on our relationship. As the clock struck midnight, I was preparing to return to Mason's when my phone illuminated with a message from Ava. I made a mistake. Everything feels chaotic. Can we have a conversation? I mean a genuine conversation, not about Caleb or finances or anything else. Just, do you recall those times we would indulge in ice cream after my dance classes, and you patiently listened to my rants about school drama? Is it possible for us to consider that? I understand that I may not have earned it yet. I'm composing this from the car parked outside our neighborhood ice cream shop. It's technically closed, but the owner is familiar with us. We have visited this place for 3 years now. He's keeping the doors open late just for us. Ava has just arrived in her mother's vehicle. She's sitting there, likely gathering the strength to enter, much like I am. At times, the most challenging dialogues begin with the tiniest gestures, or in this instance, with a bowl of mint chocolate chip ice cream under the moonlight. Ultimately, that evening at the ice cream shop transformed everything. Ava spoke for hours, delving into Caleb's manipulation, her fears, her guilt. Yet it was a fleeting remark that truly captured my focus. Caleb had been urging her to persuade her friend's parents to put their money into his startup as well. A realization dawned. The lawsuits I had discovered came rushing back to me, revealing a troubling pattern of targeting families via their children. The anger I had been holding in now felt justified, finally finding its purpose. I mentioned it with caution. What he's doing transcends mere morality. That action is against the law. Ava glanced away from her dripping ice cream. Could you clarify what you mean? I detailed the intricacies of securities fraud and the implications of unauthorized investment schemes. Her eyes widened in realization as she retrieved her phone, revealing the group chats where Caleb had been directly soliciting investments from minors. After dropping Ava off that night, I placed a few calls. Emma has a connection at the SEC, while Mason has an acquaintance in the DA's office. As dawn broke, a strategy had formed in my mind. Caleb was caught completely off guard. He was deeply engrossed in his grand announcement dinner, where he intended to persuade Ava to relinquish her college fund. He had even extended invitations to some of her friends' parents, adding more potential targets to the mix. The dinner took place at a lavish restaurant. Caleb thrived in the moment, passionately discussing Portland tech hub ties and assured profits. I remained seated until the appetizers made their entrance. Before we proceed, I mentioned there are a few individuals who would like to be part of our gathering. Just as expected, 2 federal agents and a state investigator entered the room. Caleb's expression shifted rapidly from self-assured to bewildered to utterly frightened in mere moments. It appears that Caleb was involved in more than just a single scheme. The detectives uncovered 7 distinct fraudulent schemes spanning 3 states. Each time he reestablished contact with Ava throughout the years, he was orchestrating new targets. The vintage automobile dealership that drained Lauren's savings, entwined in a broader deception plot. The food truck franchise follows the same pattern. Yet, this is the exquisite aspect. He had let his guard down this time. He meticulously recorded every detail in texts and emails to Ava, convinced she would always be on his side. Upon forwarding those messages to the investigators, his destiny was irrevocably determined. What about the parents at the dinner? They had hidden microphones on them. Each vow, each deception, every illicit investment proposal was meticulously documented. Caleb made a desperate attempt to flee, colliding with a waiter in his haste as he dashed toward the exit. He took 3 steps forward before security intervened. As they took him away, he cast a glance at Ava, wearing that familiar, pleading look that had captured her heart countless times before. Darling, this is simply a case of miscommunication. Inform them that I am your father. Ava rose, her shoulders held high. My father is right here, she said, grasping my hand. And he simply observed you receiving precisely what was rightfully yours. The consequences were profound. Reports highlight victim accounts, with additional families stepping forward. The detectives uncovered more than $2.3 million in misappropriated assets. Caleb is facing a sentence of 15 to 20 years. His startup was merely a figment of imagination, consisting only of a website and a collection of appropriated images from an actual tech company's office. Yet the true triumph wasn't in witnessing Caleb being taken into custody. The subsequent small moments unfolded. Ava gathered every photo of her and Caleb, carefully placed them in a box, and donated it to the prosecution. She referred to it as evidence, a trace of her former smile lingering in the air. She submitted her application again for her AP classes. The school showed compassion, considering the situation at hand. Rather than expressing anger, her friend's parents took a proactive approach by establishing a support group for families impacted by similar scams. A positive outcome from a negative situation. Last night, Ava requested my assistance with her college essays. She mentioned that her story is quite distinctive. How many individuals can articulate the experience of dismantling their biological father's fraudulent empire? Lauren and I are attending counseling sessions together. Trust must be restored, and healing is necessary. Yet observing her meticulously place those photos of me back into the family albums, ensuring each one was perfectly aligned, conveyed a depth of meaning that words simply couldn't capture. This morning, Ava rose early and made her way down for breakfast. She carried an envelope with her. "This was discovered in my room," she remarked, pushing it across the table. "Caleb requested that I send it out last week. It's documentation related to funding for his new venture. I considered that you might want to include it in the evidence file." I glanced at the envelope, then turned my gaze to her. "Shall we present it to the investigators together?" She beamed, that genuine, unfiltered smile I had longed for. "Shall we indulge in some ice cream afterward?" Some might argue that the retribution was excessively severe. That family is everything, regardless of the circumstances. True family doesn't seek to undermine your potential. A true family stands by your side, even if it requires shielding you from other relatives. Caleb is facing sentencing next month. Ava intends to present a victim impact statement. She has dedicated weeks to this project, meticulously refining every single word. Yesterday, she requested that I review it. "It requires a satisfying conclusion," she remarked. "Something that demonstrates I am no longer merely a victim in this narrative." It seems she has already discovered that conclusion. It's evident in the way she carries herself now, and in her efforts to assist other kids in recognizing similar scams, reflected in the college brochures resting on her desk. Her true journey, not the one Caleb attempted to market to her. At times, progress involves ensuring that the past cannot inflict pain on others. At times, the most satisfying form of retribution goes beyond merely observing. Another, endure the fallout of their actions. It continues to flourish in spite of them. This evening, we're gathering for a family dinner. Only the three of us. Ava is preparing her renowned pasta sauce, the recipe she picked up from those cooking videos we enjoyed together during lockdown. Typical, mundane, delightful family moments. The sort of thoughts Caleb will have ample opportunity to ponder from his confinement. That's it for today's fiery tale on iFire Story. If you got caught up in this infidelity story or Reddit cheating drama, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. What would you do in this situation? Subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss our next true story of love gone wrong. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay curious and keep the spark alive.